I'm overjoyed to be here today with Alexandra Samper, an ex-client who's now a dear friend, who is ready to share her story to support you in your own spiritual journey. Ale is a mother of two man boys, international teacher for more than 20 years, and has lived around the world as such. And now she and her family live in Rome. Her passion is writing children's books to inspire the little ones, the star seeds and the rainbow seekers, to trust the worlds they came to transform. Ale had a spiritual awakening 5 years ago, which took her into a very accelerated series of challenging experiences that left her vulnerable, disempowered, and confused. Welcome, Ale. It is so fun and so great to be here with you once again.
I am so happy to be here. I am so so excited to have such a beautiful opportunity to share a little bit about my journey, if it could in any way support anyone in their journey. I'm so grateful for this moment.
I'm grateful for you to be here because it's not easy to be vulnerable in front of a video camera, knowing that many people will see it. And we all carry what I have come to learn that it's known as the witch wound or the oracle wound. And that comes from all those lifetimes in which we were literally killed for being vulnerable and honest with our gifts. And the fact that you are available to be speaking so freely today, in and of itself, speaks of the deep healing you've been through. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do this. So I welcome you, and I'm overjoyed to be having this conversation with you. And I would love for you to share what happened for you when you had your awakening and how that was challenging, in what ways that was challenging. One myth that is out there is that when you become awakened or you're in the awakening journey, everything is wonderful and smooth, and it's everything else rather than that. And so, would you share how that looked for you, please?
Oh, yeah. I can't say I even thought about what a spiritual awakening would be like. So I wasn't expecting the unicorns or any of that to begin with. But I have asked many times, like, why can't it just be like that? At least for me, and I can speak for just my experiences. But very quickly, very early on, I feel like my growth was very accelerated, opening of my channel, experiences that I was having in my sleep or awake. Many things that were happening a bit too fast for me to be able to catch up with it, because in reality I was having these experiences, using a metaphor that you used quite often that helped me understand it, was without knowing kind of the rules of the road, having all of a sudden this Ferrari that you're driving, you're learning how to drive, you're learning, you're expanding, and all of a sudden gifts that are from other lifetimes are coming back online, and a lot of it you don't understand. And along the way, I don't feel like I had been at that during those first years able to connect with my own inner guidance, able to connect with my guides. And it was really like bumper carts and going off the road. And it was very challenging, and it just got bigger and bigger.
When you say you weren't able, do you mean you didn't know how to, or you weren't able because your channel wasn't open? What are you
I,
addressing?
I didn't have tools, practices, strategies, and some understandings that I really needed. Part of it was what was available in that time that I had access to personally, were groups and beautiful groups of beautiful people, where there was a lot of expansion in people's abilities and gifts and capacity to hold energy, to hold energy for themselves and for others. But there wasn't that strong of an emphasis on tools and strategies and practices, and that kind of need to go along with that very accelerated expansion. So for me personally, it wasn't very sustainable. And I did reach what I would call just a breaking point for me. where I did feel very powerless. I felt like when you're in a wave and you're just kind of tumbling and tumbling and not knowing where was up and where is down. And that is when you just by synchronicity came into my life, and the guidance that brought you into my life was so clear to me in that moment that I was with an open heart and open arms. I I knew that I didn't have to do it alone, but I also knew that I wasn't being saved by a savior. That wasn't the energy you ever held me with. And that is the one of the many reasons why the time that I've worked with you has been so empowering and so beautiful for me.
Mm, that is so wonderful. It's been an amazing journey to witness you go through all the stages of the healing and the empowering journey. And I want to ask you a question. You said when the awakening started, was there a specific thing that happened for you that you knew that, whoops, this is the awakening? Or was it a gradual thing and suddenly you found yourself in this new soup and you didn't know very well where you were? How did it happen for you?
Well, at that point, I literally got hit by a car and was very like
Like a
literally.
real car. We're not being metaphoric.
But in that healing process, a friend who was kind of like in the spiritual closet, and she did come out and she said, can I do a healing for you? And she connected me with beautiful energies and a group and a channeler and just these amazing, wonderful, beautiful experiences. And the beauty of the light and the love that was part of the work that they were doing in this group was stunning. And I just very gradually started realizing these gifts or these capacities that I've had since I was little, and just experiences that I've so many of us have had since we were little young kids. Just started getting bigger, more expanded. For me, a lot of it was in my sleep, but most of it was back then in my sleep. And then so out there that all of a sudden the interactions with energies that I didn't understand sovereignty. I didn't have the discernment that I needed, and I didn't realize the power that I have.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a
that
big one for
that's
almost
a
everyone. Yeah, yeah.
and that inner guidance, and that having clarity on exactly what it is that I set as my intention when something kind of comes into my field, exactly what it is that I need to do, that I can do, that I have the sovereignty to do.
Mm.
Those kinds of things, it was just the experiences happening, and I didn't have the, not knowledge as in book knowledge, but the experiential understanding and awareness and the tools, really, literally tools that can come along with that expansion that make it sustainable.
You mentioned something that is so important, and it's this thing about how you started feeling bliss and opening up, and it was fast speed, it happened during your sleep, and it was a big, wonderful thing that you didn't know quite what to do with it. And that's part of what happens to many of us, this activation, let's say, of our life, this awareness that there's more to what we are living on a regular basis, but we don't know what to do with it. You also said, when I was a child, I had some experiences, and many of us had, and it's true. And it's true also that the societies, regardless of the country you live in, even if you grew up in a country as spiritual as India, I've spoken to many Indian from India people, and they still weren't giving the tools to how to manage that awakening or that connection that goes beyond us. And that's why it becomes so hard when the connection becomes louder and we're being called into really owning that, and we don't know how. And that's so big. So, would you share with us a little bit of how did that change for you as you began to come home to yourself through the work we've done?
Well, I feel like a huge part of the work we did was healing. It came alongside learning strategies and tools and understanding, but the healing that for me needed to happen to be so much more in alignment, so much more in this state of being, grounded, present, aligned, and feeling in your power. There was a lot of healing that needed to happen. That healing with can come in many forms with many different healers, channelers. It can, if people work with healing others, the healing comes through for them as well. And I'm not in the trenches of the light workers. I'm a teacher. I'm in the trenches of the 3D world. So that's not the route that was for me, I was so blessed to find you, to connect with you, to be with you because we resonated so beautifully. And it definitely was a gradual process of healing, that you were walking alongside with me, that we were co-creating, and you have all these tools that I think for me was very important. You have so many tools. There's so many lineages that you have studied for these 40 years and so much experience that I needed the big guns. You were the big guns.
I love that.
I
I
definitely needed them. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this thing about the healing. Like you surprised me with the answer, but actually it doesn't surprise me, but I was just thinking in those lines. But it's true. Most everybody, as we begin our awakening journey, it was the same for me. I was operating in my life through the trauma that I have had. And so my responses, my choices, my decisions, my daily life was a result of all the hurt that I had lived through my life, mostly as a child, as a teenager. And when that happens, we look at life through those glasses that when something happens that resonates or tells our subconscious, oh, that's another threat like the one you had when you were a girl or a little boy, then we began reacting in that line. And so there's no room for new co-creation. And so that's the healing, right, that you're addressing. And we did it both for you, for your lineage. We did all kinds of work. And through that, you went from the reactive to the now I choose what I do and how I create. And I hadn't like looked at that way, but that's so true that that happened for you in a big way. And I have to say, Ale, you are especially curious and I mean this as a super compliment. Um, Curiosity is one of the most empowering characteristics of the spiritual seeker. When things go awry, when we are in a really rough spot, getting curious is one of the biggest fortes because then you are not judging yourself nor the experience. You are removing yourself from having expectations and you're becoming curious about, well, why is this happening? What can I do about this? I want to learn more. This was one of your favorite phrases, like, Shakti, teach me more. I want to learn more. And it's like, you're learning one step at a time. But that thirst, that curiosity was a big propeller for you. It really helped you move through a lot of the most challenging moments of the healing. Because to
Mhm.
heal, you have to be courageous. You have to lean into the pain so that you don't have it anymore. But you have to go there and touch those sore points. So, in that sense, it was so beautiful to work with you as the teacher, the spiritual teacher, and the healer that I am, because your willingness to go through, to stand in the fire, is what created such a speedy
Mhm.
fast forward movement for you as well. So it was beautiful. And is there any particular aspect of the work we did that you particularly enjoy, or that the reverse is true, that you really struggle with, and that you have some advice to others if they go through that?
I think for me, the thread throughout everything that we did that was so beautiful was that you seeing me in the light of empowering me, helping me stand on my own 2 feet. And so it was things like the setting of the goals that we did together and checking in on those. It wasn't you trying to fix me and trying to change me. And I would say to anyone out there, if you're feeling you're working with a spiritual teacher and you're feeling, fixed or judged, or I mean, that's kind of like a little red flag. It's not very empowering. One thing I really enjoyed and took me a bit of time to understand what's happening was when you would teach me a strategy. It could be anything from, how to clear my channel, how to clear a space, how to create a protection for my family, or how to know exactly what I was connecting with and have absolute certainty of what that was and my intention. Whatever the strategy, the tool was from the different lineages that you have studied, there was an activation that you were doing when we were doing these together. It wasn't just
Absolutely.
Shakti's teaching me, how to clear this room and clear my channel at the same time. And it wasn't just that. The minute we were doing this together, there was a kind of like a breaker where you flip the switch, like an putting coming back online. It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, and it was mine. It was part of now of my capacity energetically. And it's not one of those, well, I need to hear a recording of what you did to be able to do it, or I no. And then taking it and making it my own and changing it, that whole process for me was growth, because I don't know really many spiritual teachers. I think I was just very lucky to find you right away. But I do have friends that have worked with people, and it's things like, well, come to this event, and in this event you will feel this bliss and you'll feel this beauty, and but then you go home, and did you take that with you? Were you able to incorporate it into your morning ritual? Is it now part of you? Is it part of your toolkit? Or do you need to go back to the events to be able to be in the bliss and the joy and the connection and all that? So for me, it really was about, in a really difficult, very difficult, challenging time in my life, working with you in helping me be able to stand on my own and be able to stand with confidence, with love, and and really more specifically at a personal level, was being able to have my own connection with the guides, with the ascended masters, with my higher self, and
Yes.
with source and mother earth. And just that's what I needed. I mean, so many people need many many different things, but for me that was empowering. And for me, it didn't become about the experience of seeing something or the experience of having an interaction with an energy. And it wasn't out there about that. It was about coming to this place, to this point, and just feeling now that I don't just stand on my sovereignty, in my power, in my beauty. I don't just stand there, whole. I am also, because of the work we did, and I'd love to talk about the rays if we have time for that.
No, we do. But finish the sentence.
Now I am actually taking steps in walking what I have full certainty is this golden path for me, this mission of why I'm here. Why was I actually born in this time? And it's for me personally, many different people have different paths, but for me personally, it's I'm here to support these little ones, these little star seeds, honey gold babies, crystal children, whatever, rainbow masters. And the guidance that I have been able to receive in my healing and my process, that guidance is coming through in the stories, in the drawings, in the books that I'm writing, and I feel it so beautifully, so whole, so I feel so blessed that the process included this. It went beyond my expectations. But so the Rays of Ascension, Shakti has a video where she explains them beautifully. I'm not even going to try to explain them the way you can. But if you're on a path for for being able to have many different layers of healing, because it includes a lot of healing, and kind of putting online maybe I would say what feels to me like our original templates, and the templates of our God codes, and really that's been my experience, my personal experience. um I've done a bunch of them. And I would say for me the golden ray was one of them. They're all at different levels impactful and transformational, but the golden ray was what I was explaining about feeling like all of these God codes coming back online for this. Why am I really here? Because I don't know, many people out there might be going through what I went through, which was I don't believe in the educational system the way I used to before. And I know all that's not really needed anymore from it. And there has to be an alternative. So just feeling uncomfortable in my job, in my work. I know there's more. I know I'm here for something different. I know I'm here for something more. And the way that all this evolved so beautifully, so organically, so naturally through the work with you and the golden ray and the other rays was just astounding. It was
It was
beyond.
great that you were able to do that. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And for those of you watching, the Sacred Rays of Ascension is a whole body of work that is available, and it's a self-study program, and you can go one step at a time. So I'm going to share more about this in the description to this video. If you're curious, you can go and check it there. And I love that you actually did that as a complement to the work we were doing, because it just expanded the work we were doing. And Ale, I am so happy that your ability to become that inspired channel as the artist and creator that you are for these books. You had shared how that wasn't happening and you wanted to happen, and how as you healed, suddenly it was coming down. And I have um, the joy to have been able to read and see, and the images you draw, which are so gorgeous, that I'm putting it out to the universe that this can be out there in a way that it can reach millions, because the little ones and their parents need these books. And that's beautiful. And I know it's happening already. So it's just a matter of how it'll continue to unfold. And to sum it all up, what advice would you give somebody that is feeling lost, that is struggling right now, looking at your own journey from how you started this work and how you now feel in your words, standing in your sovereignty and clarity and why you're here? What advice would you give somebody remembering your struggles to get from where you were to where you are now?
Say first is this realization that it's not really supposed to be easy, that it's not just going to be unicorns, and that is okay.
I love
and,
that.
and for me it was, as you know, when it got to the point where it was just so hard, that's where the breakthrough was going to come. And it was all synchronicities, but I did have this moment of asking the universe for help, for assistance, for guidance, for being able to have in my life the support that I needed, because I was at a breaking point. I really was. And I really asked with all the love in my heart. And the minute you ask the universe with this purity of intention, it will come your way, and it'll come in the form of a teacher, of a friend, of it will come the way that it's meant to come for you. And for me, it was you. And I'm so grateful for that and the rays. But that would be the first thing, to breathe and understand that, nobody actually pulled us aside and said it should be easy and flowers and rainbows, although that's part of it, but it's okay. And the other one is I wish I knew now what I knew back then. We all do, but everything that
No,
happened back
the other way around, right? You wish you knew then what you
then,
know now.
no, then and now, it's all here now anyway. I do. I know that, and I'm grateful for every single thing that happened, every channeler teacher that I worked with and everything that I learned and the challenging experience that came with some of those experiences too. I'm very grateful for it, but if I could look back, I would say that I wish I had known that if there is a teacher that comes, into my life and I don't feel empowered by that teacher, I feel like, it's, it's I will give you, I will do for you, keep coming back. I am the way. I would say that's a little piece of advice, or I
That's a
wish I,
red flag.
it's a red flag. And I think if I had had the discernment that I needed at that, at different points, it just would have been a little bit more graceful and more easy path for me. I don't think it has to be way too rocky. I think it can be many, many different things. But I would say that, and I would say it ultimately is about trusting ourselves. It ultimately is about trusting our intuition, our inner guidance, trusting that we have that connection. We just need to tune into it. And what will unfold always is for our good. It's always like you've told me so many times, and it's a phrase I basically say every day. This is happening for me. It is not happening to me. It is happening for me. And just that there is so much beauty in being on a spiritual path, spiritual awakening and growth. There are challenges, and that's part of what this is and how it goes. But I would say the the understanding of, for me personally, of I need to show up and do the work.
Yes, that's big.
To do the work. It's not just going to happen for me. It's not just going to be like there's absolutely nothing to do, or it in my case it wasn't that way, and it isn't that way. There's
80% of the job is showing up,
and
always.
there's
Yeah.
courage involved in showing up for yourself in the ways that are needed, right? So I would say that. I would say
That's
those things.
beautiful. That's beautiful. And I especially like that the challenge is an inherent part of it. And it's that leaning into that challenge and moving beyond it, that where the healing is. Many of the times, like you said, the breakthrough is just beyond that challenge. Just when you think that, oh, I can't do this anymore, boom, the breakthrough comes. So trust that moment because the breakthrough is right there. Thank you, Ale. It's been beautiful having this conversation with you. Also, it's helping me reminisce from when we started working like 9 months ago. It was like a delivery, like pregnancy of 9 months, right? And then boom, you're here, delivered to the new baby on the other side. But truly, these journeys are like a rebirthing. They truly are. Is the old you was shed so that the new you can be seen. And it's truly a shedding. It's not a creation of something new. It's more of where's the authentic you? Oh, let's remove those layers. And there it is. And the courage you displayed throughout the whole journey and that curiosity was so fresh and so beautiful for me to accompany you. So thank you. Thank you for being here today, sharing your story. And what I want to say to you watching this is find your guide, your teacher, find that person with whom you resonate, that you trust, that your discernment, like Ale says, tells you that there's truth there. And go. You're not meant to be doing this alone. When we struggle, when we need healing, it is so enriching and helpful to have somebody else holding space for you while you're doing it. And we all have had people that came before us and people that came after us. And it's the journey of I myself reach out for who was ahead of me and I give my hand to those that are coming after. And that's the beauty of it. So find your path. I bless you so that you can find your path. And Ale, I bless you for this next step of your journey. You are such a sun shining person. It's like I can see the light shining through you. Blessings for you, for your family, for your work, for your path. And it's beautiful knowing that this is just the beginning of a new phase. We'll still be connecting and sharing. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This was awesome.